right. Good morning, everyone. My name is Robert Scott. I'm the president of Baywork, and also I oversee the technical training at Valley Water. And we want to welcome you to the training buffet of 2022. This is our second day. The buffet has been going quite well, and we're pleased to have you with us this morning. Again, we ask that if you haven't already, please put your name, your job title, and organization in the chat so we know who's in the room. But we have a great presentation for you today, and I'm just going to introduce to you our presenters, Don Benson and Suzanne Delbou. I hope I pronounced that okay. And I'll let them say that again.
Close enough.
Okay, all right. I'll let them tell more about themselves, and they have some great passion and interest here as it pertains to administrative professionals. So Don and Susan, you can take it over now.
Thank you. Go ahead. Okay, so do you want to
welcome to this in conversation with two executive assistants here at EBMUD. We hope it's an interactive, so save your questions. If you have a question along the way, please send it to Robert or in the chat, and we'll be monitoring your participation as well as our, in conversation. I'm Dawn Benson. I am an executive assistant too here at EBMUD in the Customer and Community Services Department. I supported the director, but I also worked my way up the ranks. And I've been at EBMUD for 23 years.
So hello, I'm Suzanne Delbou. I'm also an executive assistant, and I work in the operations and maintenance department. So we wanted to just do a quick, background on who we are how long we've been at the district. Did you say how long you were at the district for?
23 and a half years.
23 and a half. And I've been
or 23 years, excuse me.
And I've been at the district for almost 15 years. So we've been here for a little bit. Size of the district, we wanted to give you an idea for those of you who are not familiar with EBMUD. We have about 2,100 employees. And to give you perspective on the size of our departments, I work in a department where there's about half the employees, about 1,100 employees are in my department. And about how many in your department?
140.
So we have very different size departments, okay? Both of us have worked in the private and the public sector. So this being a public sector will certainly give you information about what it's like working at EBMUD, what it's like to be an executive assistant and be in the administrative role. But the fact that we both have experience working in public and private, I think it gives you a great experience. And it definitely gives me the perspective of being grateful for working at a public organization.
So we'll jump right in. For us, we wanted to kind of give you, next slide, please. I think that's you and I, okay, we're on to that. That's us and that's our badging.
Those are our younger days.
Yeah, younger days. Okay, next one. So today it's about developing you. So we're here to, why are you here and what do you want to leave with today? And what are your challenges in your current position, and or what challenges are you for entering into this profession? And why would you like it? And one thing to think about, what can you do immediately? What is one step that you can take away from this presentation or this discussion that we have today? So that's something we just kind of wanted to make sure that this is all about you. We're wanting to be here for you and kind of share our background, how we got there. So next slide.
Actually, before you advance, I just want to mention that the point of this is also to give you a realistic perspective. We're speaking from our experience, so we want you to have a realistic expectation of what it's like to be in an administrative role, and also make you aware that at EBMUD, we have job postings on a weekly basis at ebmud.com. So every Monday, we have job postings. So that's something you want to keep an eye on. So if this is something you're interested in, you want to go to the website, you want to check out the postings, and you would want to apply, and that's its own process. But that's where you would go to get that information. Okay.
Okay, next slide. So a little bit about us today. We've done a little bit of our introduction already, but we're going to cover, why an administrative support career, public versus private. How do we get here from East Bay MUD, and skills you need in today's workplace. The workplace is changing phenomenally, especially with COVID. So we're going to kind of go down from the transactional old type of position into where we're leading into a strategic position, whether it be with an executive or with your group or a division manager. So we're going to kind of touch base on that. And then we want to save some time for questions from you. With that, please, let's see, I think, back, sorry.
No, go back.
Back. We're going to leave this slide up and kind of go through. Why administrative support career? I started as a support career person when I was 18. So I was really lucky because I went to work for a small CEO, and through the progression of my career, I ended up with a big company. I worked for the second largest computer company in the world. And prior to that, I was supporting a CEO of a manufacturing company. So I really got the small and the large. But when I left digital, after a whole enormous amount of layoffs, and I orchestrated my own layoff to go and move when I was in Colorado Springs, and I moved back to San Diego. That said, through my own looking at where am I going to go, what kind of pension, or, what am I looking at in the long term? I fell into the public sector by a temp agency. Little did I know that would change my life, because I stand here and I'm so lucky we have a pension, and I have a career that I've built within the water agencies, the industry, because it's safe. And I realized being in the computer world and in the private sector, there's too many ways that you don't have that stability. And then water, we all need water. We all need wastewater treatment. So what a better way to save the world and continue to feed the world and get paid while doing it. So there's my 5 seconds of discussion.
So I started out in an administrative role. I had a liberal arts degree. And if I could do a do-over, I would have chosen a very specific job so that when I graduated, I'd know exactly what I wanted. But I was always told, oh, just get a liberal arts degree, you're employable. And that is true to some extent, but having paid for my own education, and knowing bills were coming in the mail, I grabbed what I could. And so I took an administrative job, and eventually I was successful. I was able to pivot that into other positions. So I've worked in both administrative and managerial roles. I'm not here to divulge my total resume, but I've been able to move into management, and I worked in the corporate world. I left the corporate world. I went back to school. I got my master's degree, paid for my master's degree, and then was in business for myself. And then after, X number of years, realized, what, I want to go back. I want to work for a very stable organization. This was in 2008, when the economy was not doing so well. And being in business for yourself, there's a lot of challenges and risks that go with it. So I went back to working for a big, stable employer, and that was East Bay MUD. So that's pretty much how I got here. And it was really because I met someone who worked at the district. Just circumstance, I happened to do administrative support for him. And he worked at East Bay MUD, and he always said, You'd really be a great employee at East Bay Mud. And I'm like, yeah. And I was in school. And after 5 years of trying to grow my business, I decided, you know what, I'm going to go to their website and check it out. And so here I am. So that's just how I got here.
Yeah, and I came here because I was moving up from the San Diego area. I worked for GM of a small agency, but we were doing a lot of big projects. I fell into this amazing position and working with a very creative GM, assistant GM, CFO. I was able to, in a small agency, you really have a breadth and a buffet, as we are today, of activities that can bring you skills and education, in addition to using your tuition reimbursement. So you have the ability in today's market to go and get those skills, to go and get either their certificates for the administrative support world. The administrative support world is growing. And it means that you can, I learned how to manage buy and implement a email system and a computer system. I learned how to do records retention. I learned a little bit of everything, HR. I learned all the different facets of running an agency in my term down in San Diego. But when I moved up here, I ended up meeting somebody who worked at East Bay Mud. She gave me a tour. Just so happened that the recruitment was going on for an admin secretary or admin clerk. So I put my name in, and a few months later, off I went. Actually, a year later, because I ended up working in another agency within my community of Dublin. But I'm so excited to be here because of the fact the skills that I've learned, the opportunities that I've had I started in water conservation, and I learned scheduling, I learned financial management. We learned a lot within our sector. We learned how to put, deal with databases, do queries. We learned how to navigate around the district, but also build relationships. And those relationships, as many of our colleagues are on the phone, are with us today, those relationships are so key in building your executive support networking, because that is what's going to give you, learning the financial system, learning the different management systems, applications, processes, policies, and procedures. Those are really important as you become more astute in the admin world, and also supporting other groups. There's a high level, and I'm going to dive a little bit, dive into the skill sets. We're seeing the skill sets that are going on today.
Yeah, we're not there yet.
Oh, we're not. Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Well, I'll give you. Yeah. The skill sets we have today are so different than when I started in this industry a long time ago. And so we'll talk a little bit about that. But what else do you have?
So I think going back to the public versus private, and I mentioned on education, I think in the private industry, you also have opportunities with employers where they have tuition reimbursement. Part of the reason why, so when you're trying to find a job, and this is, speaking from experience, and I try to teach this with my own nieces, nephews, when you graduate from school or not, because an administrative role doesn't really require a degree. You can have a high school diploma, and we can talk about that in a little bit. But one of the things that I have come to realize, a lot of it is joining a very good employer. What benefits do they offer? What kind of, if you're someone who wants to learn and you choose an employer where they offer you tuition reimbursement. If I could do a do-over, I would have joined East Bay Mud many years ago and had my education paid for. And it's definitely harder. You're working full time, you're going to school at night, which I've done. It takes sacrifice, it takes discipline, but you have a goal in mind. So that's something I would say, choose your employer carefully. And if it's not a good match, you find another employer, okay? And there's nothing wrong with gaining experience and perspective. Like if I had joined EBMUD right out of high school, I now look back and go, I would not have had all those other experiences. And I appreciate EBMUD that much more because I had all those other experiences. The downside is I wish I joined EBMUD earlier because I would have essentially gained many years of service. And that is one of the wonderful things about working at the district is we do get a pension. And I learned at a Social Security webinar, very few employers offer a pension, like 20% or less. So I feel very blessed and lucky to be here. So I just wanted to touch on that a little bit more, the public versus the private. And then to please understand that we have taken a contract, like this is a contract with our employer. We're civil service workers, like we've taken an oath, okay, to work at the district. So if there's an emergency, we're obligated to show up. So I think that's sort of the trade-off, like we get a pension, but we also know that if there's an emergency, we got to show up because it is water and wastewater. People need water to survive and they got to get rid of their poo. So we got to show up to work. So that's kind of one of the things about that. So we talked a little bit about how we got to EBMUD. I think, do you want to launch into the technical skill or the technical and the non-technical skills?
I think so, because the skills are really what do you want to do? First of all, you have to figure out if you're just getting into this profession, there's ways to go about checking in and finding, talking to if you're at an agency right now, talk to and you want to change, you want to move up in the organization, be it you're a senior admin clerk or an admin clerk, and you want to, what's it like to be a district secretary? What's it like to be an executive assistant? Start building those conversations with the people in the positions, because those are the folks who are going to mentor you through the process. And because the skills are changing, the skills, before it was task driven, it was like, I remember in my years past is that I even got coffee and I was, this was many, many years ago, things that we, often don't do today, but we would certainly like for, there's analytical skills, there's technical skills, there's EI, emotional intelligence skills. There's so much communication, written skills, digital skills, how to write an email, how not to make it, emails are not, 2-page essays. They're quick, short, to the point, move on. There's critical thinking skills.
There's technical, to interrupt you, Dawn, I'd say there's technical skills and there's non-technical skills. So to do the job, I would say you need technical skills right away. Okay, you need to learn them, right? Like things like knowing MS Teams, MS Office. Okay, that's what's commonly used at most business places. So that's Microsoft Office. You need to learn those skills. The Adobe products. And that definitely became more important as we launched into the COVID world, was how do you convert documents and route them for signature approval? So we all had to immediately oops, I guess we're gonna clog dance right now, intermission. Okay, so, and then system applications, office equipment, again, these are all technical skills. So things like knowing how to use a phone, how to use printers, how to use a copier, how to use a computer, how to use scanners, replacing ink cartridges, and knowing how to troubleshoot. Like you're the go-to person, okay? You're not the person who's like, I don't know. Good luck.
We're balancing balls.
No, you're there to help people.
And then we'll take another one and we'll toss that one. We'll get there and we'll do this and we'll,
So you're multitasking, but you're the go-to person. And I would say, don't choose this profession if you don't like to help people, because you're in a helping admin support role. You're there to support people. So if you don't know how to do something, you learn how to do it. And if you don't know, you ask your colleagues. You say, how do I do this? Or you know what? The internet's a great place to learn stuff. So when I first came here, there's a lot of things I didn't know. And I just Googled it. I, searched it and I figured stuff out. So be resourceful, figure it out. Non-technical, what you were kind of talking about.
Non-technical is a soft skills. People skills, empathy, learning how to manage conversations, manage meetings. Sometimes in some of the training that I've been through, we've had some templates on how to manage meetings and have I don't know if anybody's been in it and in a meeting where it just goes off and off and off, and it's like somebody needs to come back. There's a lot of skills that we can quietly build, and it helps in making our experience with our managers and with the staff so much more effortless, and it broadens the communication. It engages people. If we have people, I need my work looked at, sometimes we're so buried. It's the ability to share information. It's the ability to understand feedback and give feedback as well as provide feedback and take feedback, because I think that's so important these days in building your skill sets and building that, as I say, and I'm going to say this a lot, is building that network of support around you. Because we have EAs here at East Bay MUD, and honestly, we've all been in there. We have new EAs that are coming on, and executive assistants and administrative assistants. We all do budgeting. I'm like a mini PMA for our group, principal management analyst. And I do all sorts of stuff.
But that's also, see the size difference. She works in a smaller department. So she's wearing another hat of doing budget, which are what's considered principal management analyst responsibilities. Now I have a very large department. We have a dedicated PMA for our department. So departments really do vary. And so you may have to do different things depending on the department that you join. So it's like, great, I'm working at East Bay MUD. Working in each department can be a different experience, even in an administrative role, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And those skills can transfer to other groups. So many of our admin folks here at East Bay MUD have moved on to managers, HR, they're recruiters today. Yeah. They also are, they work in employee development. So we've seen so much of the change and support and management analysts. And so you're utilizing your skills that you've brought to the table, but you're also continuing to grow.
Yeah.
And we grow and learn all the time. So we don't stop learning.
No, it's constant. And if you're someone who doesn't want to continue to learn, it's not a good fit. You'll probably, at some point, people will not come to you, and you probably would be overlooked for promotions because you don't have that willingness to learn. And quite frankly, usually in your performance plan, a supervisor will ask that you stay current with technology. It's always changing. If you can't move past typing at a typewriter and not move into computers, you're probably going to be stuck for a while, because you got to move as the technology moves.
Well, and I think for us, we have many of our folks, our admin teams are going to and integrating into the management team, lower level, not lower level, I shouldn't say that, but
entry level
management classes. So you want to have that emotional intelligence. I'm in Toastmasters. We have so many different people in our Toastmasters organization that is 45 years going here at East Bay MUD. So we've expanded it to janitors, to professionals, engineers, to schedulers, to admin, and everybody in between. And I'll tell you, we have I have one person right now in our Toastmaster group. she's starting to dive into the administrative assistant or the administrative world. So I'm sharing with her Red Cape. Red Cape is a technical site where you can get all Microsoft training. And you can do it on the fly. You can get, and it's similar to like what you can get on LinkedIn Learning or YouTube. But the person that runs this site, she is a professional certified Microsoft trainer. So that's another hip pocket that you can get into, is by going and getting these certifications. You can,
It costs money,
it costs money, but that's what
Costs money.
tuition reimbursement's for.
but it's a catch-22. It's sort of like if you don't have the skills in order to be employed, because usually we go through testing in order to come in here. It's pretty grueling what you need to go through. There are hurdles. You have to take a test, and then you have to be panel interviewed. And then finally, you will be interviewed by a supervisor. So you have to have a certain amount of a skill set to begin with. But then if you want to do the more advanced certifications, that's where I think the tuition reimbursement comes from. But I would agree with you that if someone's super motivated and can afford it, then, and you don't want to take the route of going to college or get your associate's degree, you can get the certifications, right?
Well, the certifications are also a good benefit, even if you have a degree, because a lot of
Agreed.
these,
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm just trying to present options of like,
oh, there's a variety of
yeah,
different-
like if you want to go the way of, education classroom degree versus you can go online and get these certifications, which, quite frankly, if you're coming into an administrative role, it's just as valid, if not better, because you're coming in using knowing the software of what we use at the district. So,
And then I've inserted myself into an international platform it's called the Skills Matrix, and it's by the World Administrators Alliance. And several years ago, they created, they've discussed and brought in people from all over the world in our profession. It's like, and come together and created a 2-page document on what are the skills and the tasks. And it's divided up into 5 different levels. So one of my favorite pieces is to talk about this, because it really helps you build your, where do you fit? We have the skills matrix, and it goes from reactive to proactive to strategic to leadership. So there's a variety of tasks, and there's a variety of skills that you can take these courses, you can build within your portfolio of training.
Excuse me, Don, was that
Yes.
one of the handouts you sent?
Yes, that's
Okay.
one of the handouts. So what I've done is in the handouts that we'll be sending out.
I
will
posted them in the chat, the handouts into the chat that you gave me.
There's a whole list. There's professional organizations within the United States. There's IADB, International Association of Admin Professionals. They have a CAP certification. But for us in the public sector, all that information is helpful. There's webinars. I'm on a global technical, there's global technical presentations that just blow my mind. And one of them was on the benefit. It was basically pulling SharePoint, OneNote, and Teams together. And it really gave me, for 45 or 50 minutes, it really gave me the whole platform on how this all works together. And I was able to utilize that and help organize town hall meetings, set up groups and classifications within MS Teams, and using OneNote. I use OneNote for my my on-demand executive manual. So I have manuals and I have resources for all our team members. There's about 8 or 9 team members in customer and community services for admin. We've done monthly and quarterly training sessions. So that's another way. I'm in the process of exploring setting up a network of admin professional, admin team. How do we pull out? I always look at it, and Toastmasters and all the other different organizations that I belong to, we're pulling up somebody else as somebody's pulling up me and pulling up ourselves. And I'm a few years away from retirement. So I'm really excited because I'm excited now because people are going to get to do my job someday. And I'm really looking forward to training and, you know, being a better mentor to others. You know, how can I change the world within East Bay Mud to make it a better place when I leave?
And actually, I want to go back a little bit to just some of the skills that you need to be what I see as an effective administrative person. Is we talked about the technical and the non-technical, and there's a lot to be said about the non-technical, being able to influence without supervising. Here at the district, we administrative people often have to get things done, and those people don't report to you. So how is it that you're an effective communicator and clear about what the needs are? And doing this all without having sometimes staff who report to you. So again, that the skill set of being able to influence without supervising, I think is super important. Always understanding that the way you treat others is how, you know that you need one another. So
the platinum rule. I call it the platinum rule because
what's that?
It's going above and beyond the golden rule, because as you do unto others as you wish done unto you, but also go the extra mile. Go the extra mile and make sure
it comes back to you.
It comes back to you.
Whatever you put out and support one another, it ends up coming back to you. Like I've heard stories where someone wasn't so nice to their coworkers, and unfortunately, it did not work out very well for her because she really, in the end, needed their support, but she alienated them initially. So always good to network with your coworkers. You really do need one another. And then also just advancing from an entry level position to a higher level. Again, it's what you were talking about a little bit of the skill set. So initially you tend to, you have to have those technical skills. But to advance, you kind of need to think less transactionally, like do this, do this, do this, and start to think outside the box and anticipate and think about, okay, I've seen this before. I know it's coming. Why don't I just proactively handle this before the you-know-what hits the fan? And just start to prevent things from happening that don't have to happen. And I think that's where you are a good assistant, because you are anticipating, you are planning ahead, you're helping for things to run smoothly, you're helping the organization to run smoothly. And so I think when you move away from the less transactional skills to more strategic thinking, you're growing as an individual. And also,
and you're fostering others on the same path, because as you are putting all these, it's like I had a conversation with my boss the other day, and he said, we need to get this done. And I said, okay, so what does that mean? What does that look like to you? So without running off and going and doing something completely, totally, I knew that he just kind of gave me an idea. And it's like, okay, so let's focus, hey, what about this? What about this? Are you looking? He's like, yeah, I'm looking for that. And so those conversations sometimes are helpful for making our efficiency within the organization run better. And it's, the information that I send out, and if he's asking from me to ask his team for information, then I know what to ask. I don't know. It's like, well, I'm not sure. He wants this, and what do you think about this? And so those are the steps that we take, and those are the soft skills. Those are building good, building it. It's like, as you become a strategic partner, and you can see this probably in any relationship that you have, and all this stuff is really not just for here. It works out within the public, in any kind of communication within your family. All these tools are relative. And for me, not only are these tools important, but also the technical skills into being able to create meetings, plan events, manage a calendar. That's also another another key piece is managing your manager's calendar and asking staff, is this a 30-minute meeting? Is this an hour meeting? You know, what do you, is this just a discussion meeting? Is it a whiteboard? Is there, you know, what do you anticipate?
But you know all these things through experience. And so, you know, every time you take a position, and another advantage of working at the district is with the same job classification, you can work in different departments. And so sometimes there's temporary assignments. And you take these other temporary assignments. If you're not sure, you kind of want to put your toe in the water. You're like, not sure if I want to work with that group or even do that job. It's a great way to check things out, to see if it's something you're wanting to do. But also, I think it's beneficial not only for yourself, but the district, your employer, because every time you widen your scope and your experience, you become more valuable. Because you see things being done a different way. You're working with different people, so you're naturally networking because you've widened your sphere. So
your
I think
global overall arching in the.
And so that's something good that I would say is a plus working at the district. I don't know about other public agencies, but taking those temporary assignments, which are generally 6-month assignments, and also limited term, they can be up to 2 years. And so gaining that experience. And I would say for Dawn and I think if an executive assistant position became available, every hiring manager has to decide, do I want to hire internally or externally? And I think one of the things that we recognize, or at least I recognize as my value, is my years of experience just working in general. But because I understand EBMUD so well, the network of people and understanding policies and procedures and how we function, that you're really an asset.
And also there's a huge amount of confidentiality.
Yeah.
And as you build your portfolio and you build your reputation, it's really crucial. Your reputation is so important.
Very much so.
So, and your word is who you are. And that is what people really want to see. They want to see that
integrity. Well,
integrity.
You got to work with integrity. If you're in a position that's like, I'm in a confidential position. Others are not classified as confidential, but they're handling confidential stuff. And you would never violate that information. So that's part of being being a good admin person, is you never gossip. You don't really talk about stuff that you may know that you have got to keep private. I mean, you could lose your job if you share that information. So that's something else that you have to understand being in the role often as an executive assistant. Really, really important that you function with integrity. And also it's kind of fun because when you're working at a high level, working for directors like we both do, you do have privy and access to a lot. So you know a lot going on at the district. So it's kind of fun in that way.
Yeah, we see the big picture, and I can't emphasize enough for you to learn your districts, learn your job, learn your company, because you're an ambassador. I look at everybody as an ambassador of your company, of the people around you, and the more you empower others, and the more that you present yourself in a very polished way. If I don't want to get into,
Got
but
my jacket on.
yeah, so it's we stepped it up for this, obviously, and so now we're going to go into COVID. So COVID has completely changed the game.
Yeah.
And that's where these skills are all necessary.
Next slide, please.
So I don't know, for all those folks out there, do you guys feel like this? I mean,
this is COVID. This is since March 2020. This is us in the initial stages of COVID.
But COVID pivoted us. So not only we learned in the flash, in an instant, how to go digital, technology, how to build, this is the catapult of
Of a new
having-
age.
Of a new
really.
age,
Of
yeah.
a new age.
People love
We're
to
not gonna go back.
telecommute, telecommuting now is a big deal.
Yeah.
Before, public agencies, that was so foreign.
Only the IT people would telework, right? So people in IT, computers, they tend to be the ones working from home. And there was always an issue of, well, how do we really monitor our employees? Well, COVID forced all of us to have this one huge experiment. And it's still an experiment. We're still trying to sort it out. We're not unique. This is happening with all employers everywhere, trying to navigate how much time to expect staff to be in the office. We're still trying to figure it out. I personally always want things to be fair. I
Mhm.
want things, if you're expecting me to be in the office the same number of days, I want my colleagues to be in the office the same number of days. So that's my personal opinion. We are trying to navigate all of it. I don't think we
Well, the digital
have the
tools,
answers.
the digital tools are so important to have that as well, because when COVID, I went to a straight, and this is a relationship thing. I went straight to my IT people and I begged for computers for our call center. So I started on the treadmill quickly, because I knew that was really important to keeping maintaining our contact center support with our people, because water is really important. We were getting calls left and right. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Not to mention that we stopped shutting off. And then, there's a lot of behind this, activities with not shutting off your water and taking care of customers and worried, our customers were worried they were going to get shut off.
Yeah.
But but those relationships, I was able to find and pivot and we just
I think
learned
the whole field was.
the whole field
Yeah,
pivoted.
the whole administrative field, as well as not unique to admins. We all had to pivot and figure out how to function. And
Then we became the experts.
yeah.
How do you fix the Microsoft Teams? It's like, okay.
Yeah, we were thrown into it quickly and had to learn it really quickly. And I would say admins were
The backbone.
And the success of figuring, again, networking, trying to figure it out. How do we do it? How did we used to do it and how do we do it now? And so things like, here's just one example. So the Adobe products, okay. Unless your employer,
PDF writer.
taking a Word doc and converting it to a PDF. Okay, unless your employer actually pays for the licensing to authenticate signatures, you cannot use it for legal documents, okay? You have to use things like DocuSign. That's a software where you do have to pay for it, and it's recognized as a software that's appropriate for legal documents. We were trying to navigate all this stuff, right?
Yeah, we all banded together. I mean, we
Yeah.
all worked together. We've, most of
Supported
to make sure these products got fixed, how we implemented them. And, you're going down one path and then you're like, you got to pivot a little bit over here. And then finally it all centers and goes straight forward.
But then the other thing too is just having a physical presence versus doing things virtually. And we're starting to move, we do hybrid meetings. So again, having to pivot and be the person to learn the technology, to know how to set up a meeting so that people can attend in person, as well as allow some participants to participate virtually. Now, your IT person's not going to be doing this for you. The administrative person, it's us. We're the ones figuring it out to make it happen. So I would say that was definitely challenging. It continues to be challenging, but
and lots of food. Give candy out. If you have snacks, I'll tell you, candy and snacks
when
and
in doubt, give
cookies.
candy.
It's amazing. I saw all my, so this is just me, but I mean, I've sent bags of candy down to our IT department.
You're very generous.
They've done so much for us. And,
they're good.
they've done. So I think we can push.
Big kudos to the IT departments everywhere.
Yes.
They've been.
And big kudos to your fellow, our fellow admin people.
Yeah, and also I just want to say, the other thing is patience. You have to have extraordinary patience, because as we move into this new technology, everyone's in various stages of understanding how to use it.
And frightening,
Like,
not sure.
you got to hold hands, metaphorically speaking. You have to walk people through. So everyone's at a very different stage of understanding how to use the software. So you have to go through training. So that's kind of where we're at right now, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of painful, but also exciting at the same time.
So with that, is there, let's see, what else do
Yeah,
we have?
I think we covered everything.
Next slide. So today, a little bit, the teaser is the references and the materials that we've tossed into the chat. I'm happy to send it. We're happy to send it to you electronically. I have a whole bunch of articles. I even have more information to share with you folks. If anybody's interested, please drop me a line. But is there any questions that we have that we can help answer? Or is there any questions, just to share amongst yourselves?
Yeah, we're doing good time-wise.
Yeah, we want to be respectful of your time, and we're really happy you're here today because we learn from you as well.
Any questions or comments, anyone? You can type into the chat or raise your hand, and then we'll acknowledge your raised hand and you can unmute yourself. Steve Curry, go ahead. I see your hand is raised.
Yeah, thank you. My question is, what can or should we be doing kind of across agencies to support admin staff and growing and developing? What can we be doing?
Well, that's a great question. Thanks, Stephen. As we embarked earlier this year on a potential Baywork training program and being able to offer some classes and courses internally to bring admin folks together. I was at the California Special Districts Board Secretaries Conference last year, and it's going on today. So, but it's a really great way to understand the whole public agency industry from an admin point of view. From being a district secretary to filing, to dealing with sensitive documents, public records requests, correspondence, and writing classes and technology classes and what we can offer. And so that is one thing that I'm looking at within I said this earlier, is setting up a network organization within EBMUD, but also casting that net out within the Baywork section. Are you interested in hearing a speaker come in and talk? Are you interested in subjects? We have finance, we have, records management, we have event planning, but we also have just regular emotional intelligence skills, learning how to communicate with each other.
Can I tag on to that, please? I would love, Stephen, that's an awesome question. I often want to know what other agencies are doing. And basically what Dawn was saying, like sometimes I think even within our own organization, we're in silos and we don't come together and talk. I am a big believer in brainstorming with other folks. Like, why reinvent the wheel if someone else has figured it out? And we certainly could probably do more meetings with our own organization, like pull together. We used to have meetings. I think we need to just come together and periodically meet. Even if you don't have an agenda, just pull people together, and it's amazing what can come out of it. And it probably makes sense to periodically do it with similar agencies, people in the same job classification, to just come together and just talk. And it can be one topic only. Hey, how does everyone handle such and such? And just brainstorm. So I think if we came together periodically, and I don't know how often that would be, whether that be virtually or in person, but I think there's value to it.
Well, you can do a lunch and learn. You can do, and then I'm looking at some of the chat. Go ahead, Robert.
I'm just going to share that. Yeah, there's a few questions here that you might want to answer. One is from Martha Brickert. She says, you set deadlines. You have someone that is consistently late. How do you motivate that person to turn in their work on time?
Who's that from?
That's Martha.
Martha Bricker.
You just scroll down, scroll down.
Is it at the bottom?
It's right there. Nope, it's a little bit up. Yeah, how do you, so for me,
Don't see it.
I will give candy, I will give them positive
There
reinforcement.
it is.
And sometimes what I do is I send them a task. So that task, and I actually mark it when it's due, and I'll false date it sometimes because I know that person's late. And then I check in with them during that week that it's due, or I'll check in with them periodically. How are you doing? I have to say that I'm really fortunate because some of our folks have I've set deadlines, and by doing those tasks and sending those tasks in Outlook to them, putting a note on your calendar, and just checking in with them, and then thanking them, praising them. You know, it's like the best you can. I mean, I can be a nag too, and I just don't want to be a nag. So, you know, nagging's like, it's just not productive. But make a difference and be happy, ask the person, do they need additional help? Do they need questions? You know, how can you help them
Yeah, but
be successful?
I agree with that it's always about positive reinforcement, but if that doesn't change things at some point, at some point, and you have to assess what that point is. You don't just give up right away. Sometimes you do have to go to their supervisor and explain the problem, because if it's having a profound enough effect where it's affecting your ability to deliver on time, then it has to be addressed. But sometimes it's very awkward. Sometimes even when you go to the supervisor, that supervisor gives that person a pass. So that's not an easy one, Martha. I certainly am in that situation a number of times. I would go with positive reinforcement. When they do get it in early, you want to make a big to-do of it. So, not like, finally, you did your job. You would want to say something nice, positive reinforcement.
Absolutely.
Because they want to come back. You want to reward them so they'll do it again.
Okay, there's a couple other questions that I got two questions here that are related to each other. Is it
Okay.
possible to have a networking event held at the different districts to knowledge share? And then the follow-up is, how do you get other admin in your own district to knowledge share?
Oh, this is like one of my favorite questions. The reason is because I think it's, power is knowledge, and knowledge is really sharing the information. So what I do is I send out, I have a global technical event and a global executive support event. I send those invitations to everybody. And so I have all our admin are on Red Cape. So I get them a Red Cape, which is the Microsoft
awesome
applications, trainings, specific. And it also,
really good.
Every month they have a live presentation on something that's really relative to what you're doing.
So you said Red Cape. Can you put that link in the chat, one of you, from Red Cape, whatever this is?
Yeah. Red Cape, it's really an amazing.
Right there.
Oh, here, no, but I
To
did.
type it. Yeah, Red Cape.
Red Cape is really good, but also there's a variety of free tools. I send
I'll type it.
There's all sorts of free tools that are available from Office Dynamics. And this is all I have all the links within the packet, the handouts. But you can get your certification from a lady by the name of Joan Burge. I met her through the International Association of Admin Professionals. And that was, we used to meet in person in the Bay, and that's what really prompted me to get involved in this profession, even more in depth.
So if
I have people from all over the world giving me information. I've been on world trainings. I've been in one of the ladies by the name of Lucy Brazier. I was lucky to have a master class with her, and she is one. And my goal is to implement the trainings and these networking events locally and non-locally.
So if you're wanting to,
We could do virtual too.
if you're wanting to do something and you're wanting to solicit for people to attend within the organization and outside the agency, would we contact you, Stephen Curry?
No, No, that wasn't
No?
Stephen's question.
No, I know, it was someone else, but what platform would we use to get the message out to everyone?
Oh, we'd easily do Zoom. We could do Zoom.
No, I know, not which software we would use, but how would you find your audience? How would you advertise to promote people, to solicit for people to participate and attend?
You get a list. There's a list that we're compiling today. And then we share that list, and I send out information all the time to various groups. I have the CSDA network. I'll pop things in on their chat platforms, and I continually share a variety of different trainings. They're free. Lots of them are free these days because we know that.
So excuse me, Don, when you share with your colleagues, other admin, does that help them knowledge share? Because the question is, how do you get other admin in your own agency to knowledge share?
So the thing that I do is I do stay in my lane within my own department. I meet with the clerks reporting to division managers, okay? I don't have to meet with them. They do not report to me. I meet with them because I'm knowledge sharing. If I'm sitting in meetings with the management team and I'm hearing stuff that I know is going to affect the administrative staff in my department, I'm not going to depend on the division managers to maybe not pass on that information. I meet with them monthly and I put together an agenda and I go over all the things I think they need to know, because it helps them to do their job. It helps me to do my job. Again, we're helping each other.
And you bring in experts too. I mean, I do the same with my group, our team. And so we'll have knowledge, we'll have like a lunch and learn. That's what I'm setting up for EBMUD. So there's a variety of different speakers, or even, our different products.
But really what would be fabulous is if you're going to spend the money and the time and have someone come in, why not offer it to everyone at the districts? Like, I know Dawn has been wanting to bring in really key top-notch people to the organization. And so it would be great to have them come in and make it available to all administrative staff. That's something that she's been working on for a long time. So it's putting the money behind it to pay for the person to come in to be able to offer it to administrative staff. So it's a decision made by management to say, yeah, we value our administrative staff and we're going to offer this training for them, right?
Right. And so make sure that you put budget, schedule training budgets.
Ask for training.
Ask for training, because that's what I get. I mean, all my folks are trained. I mean, I really encourage them to take trainings. I encourage them to take certification trainings, in addition to, college training and the tuition reimbursement. But sharing of knowledge, is really important for us as a team. So.
Well, thanks, ladies. We're at the top of the hour.
We could go on. I don't want to go over time. We need to be respectful.
Yeah, we're at the top of the hour. And so thank you for all this great information. And hopefully this can spur some more knowledge sharing between you and other admin staff. And so we'll move forward here. We do want to ask you to complete our survey that we place into the chat. You'll also receive this survey via email, those who are in attendance, and we want to hear your thoughts about it. We want to continue this discussion. We actually, Baywork is trying to put together a work group for admin staff that we can share amongst various agencies. And so we want to hear from you. This is a comment that you can make in the survey as well, your interest in that. But thanks again, Don and Susan. I just want to give you a quick 30 seconds each to give any final statement that you want to make before we close.
Thank you all. We're just honored to be here. We're here to help. In the slides that we can forward to you, my information's in there. Feel free to give me a call. And mentor with your others. Mentor with those around you.
I would say thank you very much for your time and attention and your interest in even wanting to attend this. So most appreciated. And I hope it inspires you to consider this profession, and certainly check out our website and see what the job listings are. And hopefully we'll see you at a future event, some type of training / networking, whatever it may be. So thank you.
Coming soon. coming soon.
Thank you, Dawn and Suzanne. You were great.
Thank you, Chad. Thank you, Robert. Thanks, Elizabeth.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everybody, for coming.
Good
Thanks,
job. Thank you.
Martha.
All right, we're hitting
Steven?
the big red button. We're leaving.
Bye.
Thanks, everybody. Please,
Bye.
I want to say one more thing before you go. Don and Susan talked about it, but the 1 o'clock session is called Effective Conversations. And so one of the questions was talk about how do you talk with people? And I think you'll learn something in the session that's at 1 o'clock, the training buffet session at 1 o'clock today. If you haven't signed up, I would advise you to sign up. It's going to be a great session talking
signed
about
up.
effective conversations. So have a good day and have a great lunch, and hope to see you later in the training buffet, either today or tomorrow. Take care, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye.